this episode of the Healthy Chit Chat, we will be discussing misleading food package claims. Food package claims may be found on the front, back, or sides of food items. These claims are often promotional in nature and cannot always be trusted. In order to obtain the most accurate description of the nutritional content of foods, one needs to refer to the nutritional facts section of the food label. This part of the labeling may be smaller or less noticeable than the prominent misleading food package claims. Beware of food package claims like the following. Good source of fiber. This labeling does not mean that the contained fiber is derived from natural or traditional sources such as whole grains, vegetables, bean, or fruit. Low sodium. Reduced sodium means a product has 25% less sodium than the original version. However, the original version may contain a lot of sodium, so the reduced version could still have a very high amount of sodium. Low sodium means less than 140 milligrams per serving. Very low sodium means less than 35 milligrams per serving. Salt or sodium-free means less than 5 milligrams per serving. Unsalted or no salt added doesn't mean that the sodium does not contain natural salt. For example, shrimp and milk have more than 100 milligrams of sodium per serving. No high fructose corn syrup. This does not mean that this product does not have another type of unhealthy carbohydrate in it. If a product has a lot of other types of sugars added to it but no high fructose corn syrup, this is still a high sugar item. Good source of calcium. Foods that have 10 to 19% of the recommended daily value of calcium per serving can be labeled as a good source of calcium. If the food contains more than 20% of your daily recommended value per serving, it can be labeled as high in calcium. For example, a specific type of cookie might be labeled as a good source of calcium. However, this particular cookie may have a very high amount of other undesirable ingredients such as sugar. No artificial flavors. This simply means that there were no synthetically created flavor ingredients that were added. This could, however, mean that a natural substance was used to create a flavor that would not otherwise be present based on the main ingredients. For example, if beef products were added to a cookie to give it a certain type of flavor, it could still claim no artificial flavors since beef is a natural flavor. No preservatives. Sometimes products can contain naturally occurring food constituents that can provide a preservative function. Certain types of foods, such as milk, can be purposefully manipulated to contain high levels of peptides, propionic acid, butyric acid, and lactic acid. These ingredients can act as preservatives. However, since they were not synthetically created in a lab but occur naturally in some foods, the labeling can still suggest no preservatives. No artificial flavors. This means no synthetic dyes were being used. However, added colors from natural substances may be artificially coloring the product. The Food and Drug Administration in the United States, abbreviated the FDA, takes the view that all colors, regardless of source, are not natural. All natural. This means that there are no added dyes, artificial flavors, nor other synthetic substances, but the FDA does not precisely define this term, and so there's a lot of room for interpretation. No added sugar. Pineapples and bananas do not have any added sugar, but contain a lot of natural sugars. If one has diabetes, eating these foods can increase his or her sugar levels. So for example, a product that contains pineapple juice could claim that there's no added sugar, but this food may actually contain significant amounts of sugar. Thus, for a patient with diabetes, foods that contain no added sugar but have ingredients which contain natural sugars can cause blood sugar levels to rise quickly. Sugar-free. Sugar-free products have less than 0.5 grams of sugar per serving, but they can still contain carbohydrates from other sources that will be converted in the body to blood sugar, which is called glucose in medical terminology. At the end of the day, if the sugar or glucose in the bloodstream rises in a person with diabetes, the body does not distinguish between this coming from a natural source or an artificial source. At this point, glucose is glucose. So to conclude, clearly these claims on food packaging do not mean that the food inside is healthy. In order to not be misled is to be wary of the claims on the front of the packaging or on the sides or back, and examine in detail the nutritional information label, which breaks down unequivocally the caloric content, the amount of sodium, the amount of carbohydrates, including fiber and sugar, the amount and type of fats, protein content, and other relevant nutritional information. Hopefully this episode of the Healthy Chit Chat will allow you to be more informed when examining food labeling and distinguishing between promotional claims and nutritional facts information, which will provide more accurate and less misleading information.